ECO was the Moract, a race of bureaucrats whose greatest contribution to the universe at large was the Great Trial. It consisted of a series of questions, physiological and physical tests. They were designed to quantify our race's aptitudes in the many fields of employments. The results would define a race's future. Would they be mostly soldiers, tailors, accountants, janitors? To say it was an important event for a newly discovered race would be putting it mildly. ECO was reading the morning news. He, like many others, wanted to know the results of the recently discovered Deathworlders, humanity as they called themselves. It took them quite a bit of time to get the results this time around. This seemed odd to ECO. His people were efficient. The numbers should have been made known weeks ago. He read the statistics, nothing worthy of note. It ranged from slightly above average in most fields with an obvious aptitude for combat, but not high enough to actually supplant the warrior races in combat prowess. Then something caught his eye, something a non-Imoract would never have noticed. The results demanded a third set of tests. He made his way to the office of his old friend and business partner, Cremio. His race was one best suited for trade, and Cremio was a shining example. When no one wanted of an Imoract businessman, he gave ECO a chance and they both made it big. They ran several trading routes, the multiple stations along the way, and a couple of small colonization projects. He always wanted to expand on the last one, and now he could. So what's this business opportunity we can't sleep on you talked about? Cremio wasn't the kind to talk in circles. This made him look rough and simple, which is exactly what he wanted. He was a very cunning man, a fact many who tried to follow him learned too late. If I asked you what would be in the optimal colonization crew, what would you answer? Cremio raised an eyebrow at this. ECO knew the answer, so he obviously wanted him to say it out loud. The reason why escaped him. Imorax to keep the books, Stanos on architecture, Malekith on security, Onosoi on living spaces, Cores on aesthetics, and a shit ton of robots for the actual construction. ECO nodded. What special accommodations would be required? Cremio was still lost, but decided to humour his old friend. Soundproof rooms for the Imocrats, live prey for the Stanos to hunt, and caves where they can build their webs, large pools of water for the Malekiths, zero-gravity rooms for the Onosoi, and gem-decorated rooms for the Cores facing the local star. Exactly. Cremio wasn't seeing what had ECO so excited and finally chose to just ask. You know all this, what gives? I say we contract an all-human crew. The faster we can sign one on, the better. Cremio began to see what his friend was trying to do here. He pondered for a few seconds. Certainly they received average results and we could stand to make a hefty profit by paying them less than actual specialists, but the end product would probably not be up to people's standard. If it passes testing, that is. No one wants to live in a defective starter colony. ECO was shifting left and right at this point, a show of happiness he had copied from Cremio. Oh no. I propose we pay them specialist rates and secure an exclusivity contract with humanity if we can. Cremio couldn't find his words. He knew ECO long enough to know he was no idiot, but what he just said made no sense. Okay, pal, I humored you long enough, what the hell? ECO took his datapad from his pocket and handed it to Cremio. Cremio looked at it. It contained the results of the Great Trial for Humanity. Yeah, I've seen this already, I don't... Before he could finish his question, ECO cut him off. They ran the test 3 times. Cremio reread the article. This was true, but so what? And that means? ECO sat down for the first time since the meeting started and took a swig of a teal beverage Cremio had prepared in advance. What I'm about to tell you is a secret very few non-Imocrats are privy to. Cremio was surprised at this. His friend was a great businessman, but not a proud Imocrat. In fact, he kinda hated his people who wanted to pigeonhole him into another number cruncher. Go on. ECO put his drink down. The first test is measured using 100 volunteers. The results are then averaged. Cremio nodded. He knew this much at least. In fact, everyone knew that. Isio smiled. If the numbers are not conclusive, a second test takes place. This time 1,000 volunteers are tested, and the results averaged. Cremio made a "go on" gesture with his hand. This was nothing new to him. So what do you think happens when those numbers are still not conclusive? Cremio pondered for a moment, then answered. They test 10,000 volunteers and average the results? Isio drank the remaining content of his glass. No. They test 10 million volunteers from every walk of life, and they don't average the results. They use the median. It took a full second for Cremio's brain to catch up to the revelation. He then stood so fast, his chair nearly fell over. Wait. So that means that the results... Correct. The numbers are not indicative of the human's potential for each job. Cremio finished his sentence. Because there are outliners that are not considered on the numbers we were given. Isio served himself a new drink. So, what do you think? Should we invest in a group of professionals that can do every job a starter colony needs and do it well, while needing only standard living conditions? Or do we let this chance slip? Cremio poured himself a glass of the teal liquid. Isio smiled from ear to ear, and so did Cremio. If they played their cards right, they could endear themselves to humanity, being the ones who gave them a chance, and in the process ensure their mutual prosperity. Have I ever told you you're the best investment I ever made? Yes, but I never tire of hearing it. They claimed their glasses together. This was going to be their greatest venture yet.